Welcome to the yoga session. When you are coming into cross-legged position to start the practice, welcome to play a little bit with position of the ankles. Maybe you bring them closer, maybe you want to place one ankle in front of the other, and that's going to give you more space for your thighs to be open, and you will create more space on your lower back. And allow the hands to rest on the knees, palms up, palms down, whatever feels more comfortable for you. Think of the support of invisible wall behind you. So think of pressing the back of the head into that wall. And then maybe let us close the eyes and take a couple of long exhales, with which let us separate all the events that were prior to the practice and the practice itself. So with the closed eyes, allow yourself to just take all the visual away, maybe like a wiping all the visuals that you were exposed before the practice. And with exhale, take maybe any physical tension from the body that you might still feel, even if it's a morning for you. For us it's a morning, but if you practice over the recording, it might be other time of the day. So allow yourself to feel comfortable, like with every inhale, connect to every cell, every part of the body, and on exhale, just take any tension away. If you would like to think of any word or phrase that will be a very personal intention for the practice, you might put it in front of you. Even visualize this word or phrase in front of your closed eyes or open eyes. And then if we had eyes closed, let's open the eyes, and let's release one leg at a time to come into the seated position. If you're finding yourself not very comfortable in the seated position, always have a folded blanket or folded towel to elevate your hips. And let's bring the hands behind the back and just drop the head slightly back. Allow yourself to feel a little bit of a stretch on the front of your neck. Maybe move the head from side to side, allowing some sensation of stretch on the front of the neck. And then bring the hands in front on the shins and lean forward a little bit. Drop the head down. Definitely you will discover some tension along the spine, especially if it's a morning like we are practicing now. You can feel quite a lot of tension on the back of your body. If you have more space, you can move the hands toward the ankles. If your flexibility allows you, allow yourself to feel a little bit more intensity of stretch, and let us move the head toward the left toe and just hold here. And I'm inviting you to experiment with position of the head. Move your gaze slightly up toward the ceiling and then down toward the floor. Just notice how you are kind of touching the strings that goes from the neck all the way to the hip. And then come to the center and then move the head slightly to the right foot, and also just to move a little bit your head and allow yourself to touch those strings to a little bit different angle of tissues to be stretched. And then come even a little bit lower if it's available for you, holding your ankles, or maybe flex your feet if it's available for you, and reach maybe on the back of the feet, bend your elbows and just stretch yourself forward a little bit more. This time activating the stretch on the back of your legs, awakening tissues of the back of the legs. And just keep the head comfortably coming down. So again, you're welcome to move from side to side if it feels right for you. With this, you might go even deeper and lower into the stretch. Taking another exhale, and then let us slowly come up into the seated position. So now in seated position, bring your hands on the sides of the hips. So that will be your reference, that you align the torso with the long edge of the mat. Bring your left hand in front, right hand behind, and gently twist to the right. Again, if you feel pulsing, like releasing a little bit and then going deeper, working for you, welcome to try that. And then we're gonna hold here for a bit of the twist, a bit of rotation of the torso, and come back to the center, and we'll go to the other side. A right hand in front, left hand behind. And let's here just twist as well, and then return back to the center. This time we're going to travel with the right hand away from the hip, drop the head. So try to align your ear with the right shoulder and take your left arm overhead. Let us just hold the arm up toward the ceiling. So don't stress yourself to take it overhead. Just up, and think of reaching up to the ceiling, opening the whole left side of the body. Holding for 3, 2, 1, and let's release. Take a moment on the center. Definitely you feel more space on the left, and then let's walk. The right side could feel tighter, so take your right arm up. Just listen to how your shoulder feels. Sometimes you can feel some restrictions, or don't force yourself, and reach up for each inhale, and exhale, think of grounding the hip, and then release the arm down, sit tall one more time, and here we will cross the ankles to just move into the tabletop position, and we'll continue with the spinal movements, coming into the cat stretch, and then slowly moving into the dog stretch. Connect the movement with your breath here, and we already manipulated a little bit with the back of your body, but not involved too much of the lumbar spine movement. So here is a good opportunity to warm up this part of the spine, as well as feel more of the thoracic spine movement, with including the movement of the shoulder blade. So squeeze the shoulder blade, lift the chin up, and then press and hold the belly in one more time. And then we'll come into the neutral position. So adjust your knees, maybe coming a little bit closer to the midline, as we're going to be on one knee, so you want to feel yourself stable. Then extend your left leg and lift your right leg off the floor. So before we're going to take the hand off the floor, make sure that you're not extending here. So pull the belly in, and think like a pulling the leg into the hip socket. And when you feel that the midsection of the torso is really solid, strong, take your right arm off the floor. Hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's release. We'll extend the right leg, lift the right leg, making sure that heel and hip align here, as well as align with the shoulders. When you feel your midsection of the torso solid, strong, take your left arm off the floor, holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, one, and let's release. Let's move slightly toward the back of your mat, and then press the hips back into the child pose, but be active here. Look even forward. Try to stretch the tip of the fingers forward. Take another inhale and then slide with your forearms down to come into the Sphinx position on the belly. Reset your forearms parallel to each other. Get your feet apart. Squeeze the glutes and then lift the elbows off the floor. And then exhale down. So just preparing the body for the back bends here. Lift, so you don't need to come all the way with the straight elbows if it's not available for you yet, and come down. One more time. Lift, try not to shrug the shoulders up. If you need, keep your elbows bent. Come all the way down. Bring the hands on the sides of the ribcage and press yourself back into the child pose. We're going to go into this flow for 3 times. So looking forward, sliding into the Sphinx pose. On inhale, lift the chest up. On exhale, release the torso down. Bring the hand on the sides of the ribcage. Press yourself into the child pose, but keep it active. It's like a downward dog, but the legs are down on the floor. Look forward, move your forearms forward. Go on your own pace. If you're going a little bit slower, maybe you are taking 1 breath for each movement. Go back one more time into the child pose. Be active. So this is a contour pose for the back bend. One more time, sliding forward, bringing the belly down, lifting the elbows off the floor, and then exhale. This time, we're going to bring the hands on the sides of the ribcage. We'll maybe come into the cat stretch, and then we'll find in our first downward dog. So setting the feet hip distance, bending elbows, and pressing the floor away. So if you feel you want to pedal the heels, stretch more of the cuffs, and make sure that you keep in your neutral position. Exhale. Drop the knees down to the floor and step the right foot forward into lunge. So take time, and you might want to have blocks on both sides of the right foot. It's just giving you always opportunity to have a space for your hip here. And go into the wide position to press and stretch the front of the thigh. Here, taking a couple of movements here with the hip forward, and then tuck your left toes and lift your left knee off the floor. Let us hold here. If you need, adjust the distance between the feet. Keep the front knee 90 degree, back leg as straight as you can. And here, move the blocks to the high end, and then maybe step forward a little bit, as close as you need to drop the left heel down and bring the front knee straight. So some of you might go a little bit higher. Maybe it's really hard for you to bring your back heel down to the floor. So avoid rotation of the left hip up. Try to look forward. And then again, bend the front knee. Maybe slide the back foot down. Drop the left knee down to the floor. Come into the downward dog. So it might be several moves for you to get into downward dog. And in downward dog, you might feel a bit more release on the left leg than the right. Right might feel still sleepy here, because the pyramid pose, pyramid stretch that we practice for the left leg definitely allow us to stretch more intense. Let's drop the knees down to the floor and step the left foot forward. So use the blocks if need. Push a couple of times forward. So open the right hip. We're just at the beginning of the practice, so use the stretch to wake up this area, a very tight area, because most of the time our hips are flexed here. And then you can go higher, you might have the same height. Tuck the right toes, lift the right knee off the floor, and just keep a stretch here on the back leg. Again, just to remind the right leg how I need to support you in a lunge. And here we're gonna go higher, and then maybe a couple of steps of the right foot closer to be able to drop the heel down, lift the torso up, and just feel some stretch on the right calf, back of the whole right leg. Might be a very intense stretch in this position. Okay, and then bend the left knee and find your right knee comes down to the floor. And again, find your way to come into the downward dog. Head between the arms, long spine. Exhale. Taking another exhale, pedaling heels. And then let's look forward and walk to the front of the mat. Set your feet hip distance. Bring the hands on the shins. Lift the chest halfway. So let's just have a moment here, making sure that we are within neutral lower back. So your tailbone is not tucked. So if you need to lift the torso higher, get it higher, and then bring your feet together in this position, and then keep your knees forward. Bring the left hand against the right knee, bring the right hand to your lower back, and gently twist to the right. It's really a position that's hard to control. You need to hold balance, your legs are working, and what is important to do, the twist with a neutral spine. Come back to the center, lengthening forward, and then bring the right hand against the left knee, left hand to your lower back, twist to the left. Legs are working, knees together, come back to the center, and then let's spread the feet back to the hip distance, and from the hips, fold forward very passively, maybe going from side to side, even hanging here, and then let's slowly vertebra by vertebra come up into standing position. Exhale. So you should find yourself on the front of the mat and standing position in Tadasana. Take a moment here to catch your breath if you maybe need a couple of exhales to take the intensity of the warm-up away. And from here we go through their flow. With inhale, lift the arms up. Hinge from the hips, palms together. Exhale, fold forward, release the head. Look forward and step your left foot back into the lunge. Take a moment here to keep your lunge strong using the back leg. Lift the torso up, ground yourself, press the knee forward. When you're ready, lift your arms overhead into warrior one. Hold the warrior one for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hands comes on the both sides of the right foot, and you slide in the right foot back and finding yourself in downward dog. So if it's a couple of moves, go ahead. And in a downward dog, you would like to emphasize the heels down to the floor, long spine. Exhale and look forward and come into plank. Strong resistance of the body from the floor, tug the tailbone, engage the glutes, push the floor, and then drop the knees and find yourself coming on the prone position. Hands will end up on the sides of the rib cage, roll the shoulders back, strong legs, lift the chest up, neutral neck. Then tuck the toes, exhale, come into the downward dog. Long, long, long spine. Again, think more of like you sliding the floor away from your toes. On next inhale, step your right foot a little bit closer to the midline and step your left foot forward into lunge. Finding the back leg support, lift the torso up, take your arms up into the warrior one, holding here, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands goes on the side of the left foot. Stepping the left foot back into the downward dog. Maybe several steps are required here. Exhale. On inhale, flow into plank. Push the floor. Drop the knees down. Exhale, come down to the floor. Hands on the sides of the rib cage. Roll the shoulders back, strong legs. Lift the chest up. Then tuck your toes. Exhale into the downward dog. Long spine. Looking forward, walk into the front of the mat. Feet at hip distance, hands on the shins. Lift the chest up. So in the same position that we already discussed and had the twist, drop the seat bones down toward the heels. Lift the torso up, take your arms in front. Hold here, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. From the heels, lift yourself up. Inhale, exhale, bring the arms on both sides of the hips. Let's bring the hands to the lower back. So make sure that the feet are hip distance. And here we will engage the glutes, lift the chest and come into the back bend. When you come into the back bend, make sure that you're not creating back bend just with jamming your lower back. You need to move the hips forward so you start feeling stretch on that hip flexor. So very often tight hip flexors are created. I'm exaggerating here, but showing if you have a tight position here, you all the back bend having in your lumbar spine. So moving hips forward and then lifting chest up and not jamming the neck as well. So it's finding a bit of a space on the back of your neck. Squeeze the shoulder blades like you're pressing the chest forward. Exhale, come down. Let's just find the hip hinges and come into fold halfway, and then all the way from the hips down. Exhale, release the head, and then very slowly, vertebra by vertebra, lift yourself up into standing position. Exhale. So let us just here lock the hips and take the arms parallel to the floor, and we'll twist the upper body to the right without moving the hips. So just feel how your upper body twists here, and then come back to the center, and then go to the other side. So again, not allowing the right hip to travel with you, and make sure that you're not moving your arms, so you might be very limited in a twist. And come back to the center and release. Let us go to another flow, and we'll add this twist in the lunge position. With inhale, lift the arms up. Bring the palms together, hinge from the hips. Exhale, release the head. Step the left foot back into the lunge. Back leg supported. Lift the torso up. Ground yourself with the back leg. Take your arms in the same position, parallel to the floor, and twist to the right. So your hips now will be locked even more because of the back leg in a lunge. So feel the twist happening in their thoracic spine here. Return back to the center. Bring the hands on the floor and step into the downward dog. Exhale, long spine. On inhale, flow into the plank, strong glutes. Drop the knees. Exhale, come down. Hands on the sides of the rib cage. Lift the chest up. Inhale, tuck the toes. Exhale, come into the downward dog. Long spine. Bring the right foot closer to the midline. Step the left foot forward into lunge. Lift the torso up. Take your arms parallel to the floor. Twist to the left. Hold here. Keep shoulders relaxed. Feel some stretch in the right hip flexor here. Return back to the center. Bring the hands on the floor and step into downward dog. Exhale. On inhale, flow into plank. Drop the knees and come down to the floor. And let's have here a little bit different variation. We'll bring the arms into the cactus pose. And as we lift the torso, it doesn't need to be high this time. Our face is down to the floor. Lift your forearms off the floor. So control here your elbows. Your elbows shouldn't travel toward the rib cage. Have 90-degree in the elbows all the time, and it feels like you're pressing elbows higher. So the forearms higher, squeezing the shoulder blades, and exhale, come down. Bring your hands on the sides of the rib cage and press yourself into child pose. So let's just have a little bit a longer contour pose here. Exhale. Taking the breath, relaxing shoulders maybe if needed. And then let us come onto the knees. So lift your hips off the floor. So you're finding yourself on the kneeling position. Adjust the knees into the comfortable position. Bring your hands to your lower back. Squeeze the glutes and press the hips forward. Come into the supported camel pose. Squeeze into shoulder blades. Exhale. Then release the camel pose. Slide the hands forward and come into the downward dog. Exhale. Long spine. We're going to do those camel pose a couple of times in the next flow. On inhale, look forward, walk to the front of the mat. Bring the hands on the shins, lift the chest halfway, and then come into the chair pose, dropping the hips down, body weight on the heels, maintaining neutral spine. So exercising the back of the leg strength, core strength, spine strength here. And inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, bring the arms on both sides of the hips. So let us practice the triangle pose. Welcome to have a block inside the right foot. So you're stepping your feet into the triangle distance, having the distance between heels. Left hip turn forward a little bit. From the right hip, fold forward. And then find that your right hand may be touching the block, taking the left arm up. If the left arm shoulder is not cooperating today, you can have a left hand on the lower back, focusing more on external rotation of the left shoulder. Continue to think of inhalation, sending the left hip out, grounding through the outer edge of the left foot. Let's bend the right knee and slide the left foot a little bit wider. So for the extended triangle, you need to extend the stance of the leg. Bend the front knee and press the knee and elbow together. Your left arm could go up again, or maybe you're able to take the left arm overhead, creating huge stretch on the left side of the body. If that's not working again, always the option is to have the left hand on the lower back. Exhale here. Let us rotate toward the right foot and just drop the knee for a moment here. Adjust the stance and then readjust the block to align the block and the left knee together. Bring the left hand to the block, right hand to the right thigh. Tuck the left toes again. Lift the knee. This time we have some space to rotate to the right. And here are the options is to have a right hand on the lower back, to have a right arm up, or the most intense is to have the right arm toward the front and just create the stretch from the left heel to the right palm. So a lot of variation, but focus on twist mostly. You might feel a lot of a stretch around the right hip here. On exhale, bring the hand on the floor. Let's just step in downward dog as a contour pose here. Bend knees, long spine, take inhale, and then look forward and walk to the front of the mat. Let's hang here for the breath, and then very slowly come up into standing position. Exhale. So let us practice this sequence of 3 triangles on the other side. So stepping the left foot forward, right foot in, bringing the block inside the left foot. So preparing your stance for the triangle from the legs, hinging from the hips, maybe touching the block with the left hand, taking the right arm up and working on the length of the torso. Look up, exhale, keep shoulder relaxed. Try not to drop the head. Keep the lower part of the neck working here to maintain the head here. And then release the arm if it was up and just extend the position of the right. Bend the left knee. So you have a little bit wider stance. Right hand could be on the lower back, right arm could be up, or right arm could be overhead. Variation that working for you. A limitation here, usually the shoulder. So focus on rotating of the torso back rather than the arm position. Arm position is something that we can work with the time after we releasing, improving the mobility of the shoulder. On exhale, look to the left and drop the right knee down to the floor. So here you might adjust again the stance here, and then you're adjusting the block to be aligned with the right knee, bringing the hand on the block, left hand on your left knee, tug the toes, lift the knee off the floor. Keep the right shoulder above the block. So don't allow the right shoulder travels to the right. It travels forward and twist. Left hand could be on the lower back, left arm could be up or over the head. Focus on exhalation here, and with each exhale, try to find the depth of this pose. Exhale, release the left hand and step into downward dog. After twist, we want to have a contour pose here, allowing the spine to realign back, and then look forward, walk to the front of the mat, hang here for the breath, and then slowly roll up into the standing position. Exhale. So we should be on the front of the mat, and we'll come to another flow from here. With inhale, lift the arms up. Hinging from the hips. Exhale, fold. Hands on the shins. Open the chest into the hip hinge. Touch the floor and step the left foot back. This time drop the left hip. Walk the hands to the left edge of the mat. Lift the torso up. So you're finding your warrior two legs with a warrior two arms. And when you found the position, you bring your gaze to the front. Continue to emphasize the pressure of the knee forward while you're grounding through the outer edge of the back leg. Don't worry about the left hip too much. You need to control the right knee, working on the right inner thigh strength. Let's bring the front knee straight. Bring the left hand to the left thigh and take your right arm up toward the ceiling, and then slightly behind the head. So feel a little bit more stretch on the front. So yeah, it's just like triangle legs, and you go into like a reverse triangle, going backward a bit. Exhale. Then making a huge circle with the left arm. And see if you can lift the heel and slide your right foot back into the plank. Push the floor. Then drop the knees. Exhale, come down. Bring the hands on the sides of the rib cage. Roll the shoulders back. Lift the chest up. I want you to feel the work of the back of the body to come into extension. Then press yourself, come into the sitting on the heels, and then lift the torso up. So without contour pose, we're going to come into another camel pose. Bring the left hand to your lower back. Lift your right arm up and come into the camel here. Pressing the hips forward, opening the chest, feeling some stretch on the front of the right shoulder. On exhale, drop the hips and slide hands forward to prepare for downward dog. exhale. So let's have this downward dog for 5 breaths. We have 2 intense back bend. So we would like here to work on the contour pose, elongation of the spine. Exhale. So going to the other side, we'll bring the right foot to the midline and step the left foot back, dropping the right heel, walking to the right edge of the mat to come into the warrior 2 here. So front knee 90 degree. When you're ready, take your arms to the both direction and then bring the gaze to the left. Emphasize the support of the back leg. So make sure that your shoulders are not moving forward. Try to align them above the hips. Work on the inner thigh, reaching with the tip of the fingers to the both direction. Then let's bring the front knee straight. Drop the right hand to the thigh and take your left arm overhead, opening the front of the body. Bending the knee again, making a huge circle with the right arm and sliding into plank, holding the plank, then lowering down. Exhale, hands on the sides of the rib cage. Lift the chest up and then just press the hips back and right away come to the kneeling position. Bring the right hand this time on the lower back, take the left arm up and come into the camel pose on the other side, opening the front of the left shoulder. Exhale. Release the left arm down, bring the hands, slide them forward for the downward dog. Exhale. Again, we'll hold that for 5 exhales. And then look forward and walk to the hands. Closer to the hands, and let's unfold up into a standing position. So shake your legs. We'll go into the balance segment, and because we prepared the lower back, we're going to practice today the dancer pose. So prepare yourself to bring the body weight to the left foot. If you need support, always touch the wall for support. Bend your right knee. Reach to your ankle. If you're able to have your palm facing up, it's good for the shoulder rotation, but if it's too much for the shoulder, just keep it in a comfortable way. And from here, with a soft knee is just to accelerate the strength of the hamstring. Push the foot into the palm and hold here. And then bring the knees together and release. So let's go to the other side. So opening the left palm out, finding the body weight distributed on the right foot, bend the left knee, reach if you need, touch the wall, touch support, and then start pushing the knee back. Bring the knees together and release. Just for the contour pose, hinge forward, release the head down, exhale, shake the head. And then we'll come into seated position this time, right away using the block to support the hips. set your left shin on the floor and right foot in front. So going into the seated a twist here, sitting tall. Bring the right hand behind and using the left hand to guide your torso into twist without overworking with the left shoulder. Twist to the right. Maybe close your eyes and focus more on exhalation. Try not to round and fold forward rather than keep your open chest. And fold back to the center. Take a rest on the midline and we'll change. Bring the right ankle down. Reset yourself. Sit tall. And then let's twist to the other side. Another exhale, and then come back to the center, sit tall. And here we will take the blocks off and extend the leg. So the position that we started, but we had a lot of manipulation for the spine. We stretched the back of the leg. And let's here, you can even place the block in front of you and think of bringing your chest to the block. If you like, you can experiment and physically touching the block with the chest. And I want you to see if you can reach to big toes, outer edge of the feet or ankles at least. Bend your elbows and get your chest down. So have the aiming to touch the block with the chest. Neutral neck, so don't look down to the block, but your gaze should be somewhere in front of the body with a neutral long spine. It's like a string pulling the head toward the corner between ceiling and the front wall. So see if you can reach to the big toes. Bend the elbows and continue to pull yourself forward. A lot of a stretch on the back of the legs. Exhale, one more. And then very slowly release up straight. Exhale. And here let's come into the very relaxed fold. Maybe you can use the block again, but this time to let your forearms rest on the block. We had quite a lot of a back bend, so here's a contour pose to calm their nervous system, to turn on the parasympathetic nervous system. Exhale here and then reach up into seated position. So we'll come into the line on the floor. You're welcome to have the block handy on the right side as we will work a little bit on the leg hip stretch. So let us start with the right leg up. If you have a strap close to you and you would like to use a strap, you can, but it's not necessary, as I would invite you to keep your knees straight by using the muscles of the legs. Flex the foot, interlace the hands behind the thigh, keep shoulders relaxed. If you're able to bring your left leg straight and flex, that's even better. So make sure the hips, the pelvis, stays flat on the floor, so don't rotate with the hip. And hold. If you can get the heel high, it's okay to keep it lower here, but here you will need maybe more support for the strap. And hold. So active stretch here. Exhale. Then keep your hips flat on the floor and start opening the right leg to the right. And that's where the block could be handy. You can just find that your ankle is released to the block. It might be too low for you. So then if you're not using the strap, you can use your right hand to support the leg. But what I wanted to make sure that your hip stays flat. So you're not rotating the left hip off the floor. And use the right hand like I'm demonstrating here. I'm basically holding my right leg and controlling that my torso is flat on the floor. And then work on external rotation of the thigh here. So the toe should be pointed toward your shoulder. Keep grounding the left hip. So a lot of the inner thigh stretch. And then lift the right leg up, and this time bend the knee and just direct this bent knee to the left. You might not necessarily reach the floor. You can take the arm in T position. Feel some right hip stretch, glute stretch here. Exhale. And then release the right leg. Return back into the neutral position. So usually to bend the knees is helping us to get the pelvis. And then you can start with the right knee bend. Find your left leg goes up. Flex the foot, so active stretch. And if it's available for you, extend the right leg. So you might assist yourself here with the hands interlaced or the strap, or you might work a little bit more with the leg muscles to hold that. Then maintaining the hips flat, you can bring your leg to the left. So variation here is to get the block supporting the left thigh, or use your strap, or use your left hand. So you can literally hold the leg here. You are still having the right foot flexed. You're still emphasizing the right hip and right shoulders on the mat, all grounded flat. So inner thigh, external rotation, inner thigh stretch, external rotation of the hip stretch. And of course, hamstring is still stretching here because we try our best to keep the knee straight and flex foot. That is not easy. And then bring the leg up, bend the left knee, and then direct your left knee across the body. Any amount that feels right. It's more relaxed, so not so intense twist here. More relaxed position for the hip after the work we did in the previous two position. And let's release the torso back, hips back on the midline, and we'll bring the knees close to the chest. Then extend the arms. I'll just check how your thoracic spine responds to that. All the back bends should create some mobility, some space there. Shoulders relax here, neck is neutral. Exhale, so really flat back. You can rock from side to side. Sometimes when I come to this position, I feel clicks in my thoracic spine. Definitely a realignment happening here. And then bring the feet together and reach to your feet or ankles into the Baddha Konasana. And in Baddha Konasana, we're now focusing on the lower back. So we're not taking the tailbone off the floor, but keeping the tailbone down, keeping shoulders relaxed. If it's holding the outer edge of the feet, creating shrugging in the shoulders, just release that. You can hold the ankles Here with the holding ankles, you maybe have even more space to press elbows to the knees and open the inner thighs. Maintaining neutral spine. From here, if you like, you can go to the happy baby pose. Again, variation is to hold the feet, hold the ankles, or just hold your knees. Focusing more on the active release of the lower back here. A little bit of the inner thigh, of course, work. What's happening here as well. And then reach to the right ankle and bring the right ankle toward the chest. So get your right shin as much parallel to the chest as possible. And then release the left leg down to the floor. So this is the inverted pigeon pose. And when I'm going to tell you press the right knee away from the chest, it's not really pressing. It's more of an external rotating of the thigh. So your knee should be locked with this right foot flexion, right? So that's ankle position will lock the knee, and knee will stay flexed while we're working on the hip opening. And check if there is any compensation in the upper back happening here. So you should have your shoulders grounded. Your lower back is flexed to the floor. So if you feel you would like maybe to move this ankle, so that's why I love this inverted pigeon, because I have more space to work on my hip. Maybe it feels right to go into a bit of a circular movement in the hip. Rather than in a pigeon, we just collapse into the right hip with all our body weight. And here we have maybe some different angles to work on the hip opening. Let's take the right leg up and shake it in the air, just release it. And here we'll bend the both knees, so reset the pelvis, and then let us lift both legs up, bend the left knee, bring the ankle here. So the right leg first assisting you to where you would like to keep your shin. Flex the left foot, support the left knee with the left hand, and then release the right leg down to the floor. Ideally you keep it flexed as well. And here just working on the left hip external rotation in a little bit more intense way. And let us release, set your feet again back with a bent position, so that always a position where we able to get the pelvis in neutral, and we'll close the practice with the supported bridge. So just slide the block under the hips, making sure that lumbar spine is free from support. Lumbar spine is creating the traction here, and take your arms into comfortable position. So it's not Shavasana yet, but it's definitely the pose where we start calming the breath and finding the release of the body to the floor, finding more of a grounding effect of the stillness. So you might not really feel much in the lower back, but believe me, if you have the top of the block aligned with the top of the sacrum and the whole lumbar spine is hanging, have a little bit of a pelvic tilt, you creating this healthy traction of the spine. Not very high, but it's happening there. So releasing all the tension. So the lower back is the part of the body that holding the body weight through the whole day, right? This is the area. It's very strong part of the skeleton to support the up straight torso position, but definitely with the weakness of the muscular system around, we might have too much load on the skeletal system itself. So here I would like to release it. And then when you're ready, you can just lift the hips and very slowly, vertebra by vertebra, release the lower back. And now you should feel like, okay, you were in a back bend, and maybe you would like to bring one knee at a time to the chest and rock from side to side, massaging the lower back. Might be one direction or another direction. Maybe lifting the legs and arms into the air and shake them. And then drop the legs and arms to the floor. Finding your Shavasana. Heels might go a little bit wider on the mat, letting the toes fall apart. Adjusting the arms to be as wide, climbing as much space as you feel you need. If it's comfortable to turn the palms up toward the ceiling, keep them this way. Maybe squeezing the shoulder blades and realigning the top of the shoulders. Aligning the back of the head so you feel your neck has a bit of a space. It's not jammed. And here you would like to focus on the exhalation. Without analyzing much, maybe noticing sensations in the body, arising from the areas that were targeted, mostly spine, a little bit of the hips, lower back, mid back. Gentle moves will return when you're ready to move. Circling and moving fingers, toes, ankles, wrists, elbows, knees, shoulders, hips. And rocking from side to side when you're ready. And coming to one side to help yourself to come back into seated position. It could be cross-legged, but could be anything else. Bring the hands on the knees and allow a bit of a length in the spine. Bring the hands in front of the heart. If you had your own personal intention for the practice, return to this intention. Thank yourself for having time and energy to roll off the mat, step on it and practice. Take a positive energy that you generated with your body to be a guide through the rest of the day. Namaste.